Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Shayna Cersei. I'm so excited to paint with you today. Today we are going to be painting something that inspired me on my walk this morning. So a super beginner friendly, easy, simple. I saw this chicory along the side of the road. So chicory, it's a very common plant where I live. Definitely wildflower slash weed-esque, as some people consider it, but I think it's beautiful, decorating the sides of our roadways. But it's a very woody plant with these beautiful blue purple blossoms on it or blooms on it. Mine has been inside for a couple of hours now. I walked a couple of hours ago, so they've already started to wilt a little bit, but I'm going to use this as inspiration to paint a little piece of that. So let's paint some chicory together. So I'm using my actually Cadmium watercolors. So these are my student paints that I use with a lot of beginner students. Have them in these little half pans. Isn't that so neat? Originally were in tubes, put them in these half pans, and they have little magnets on the back. So when I'm in class, I just hand out the paints that I want them to use or the colors for class, and they stick right to their butcher tray for mixing their colors. So we have ultramarine, I have permanent rose, and also some sap green here. So I'm going to use these three colors to create my blooms and my stems. And we are going to do some flat flowers and some foreshortened flowers. We're looking at the side of the flower. So let's start with a flat one, and I'm going to use ultramarine and a little bit of this permanent rose to create a very blue, I want to keep it on the blue side, purple or a reddish blue, I guess. So that's a little too purple. I want to go a little bit more, but not quite all the way to ultramarine. There we go. So I think that looks great. Add a little water. Now I'm going to start with one. I'm going to keep the center open. So imagining there's a center and put my petals all around it. And these petals, let's start up here. I'm going to do a forward facing one. So we're going to see the flat side of it. These petals are jagged at the end and kind of squared off. Unlike a lot of other flowers that you may have painted where the petal is kind of pointed at both ends or rounded off completely at both ends. So kind of working my way around a central circle and see, leaving my ends very jagged. And we're gonna leave lots of space in between. I am for this one. And then I'm going to put a second layer on top of these, kind of in between, just to create some fun depth and layering with this light color. There we go. So that's one. Let's do another forward facing one down here. So same thing. If you need to draw in a circle for yourself, like a light circle, just so you can kind of keep yourself moving outside it. You're not attaching all the petals in the middle. That's really challenging for some beginners when you first start. I know it was for me. And then once you've done it so many times, that's a little funky shaped one. It just starts to become natural to leave that space open in the middle. So I'm just doing kind of like 3 strokes-ish and then ending them all with the jagged brush stroke at the end. This one had a lot of extra water in it, so it's doing some funky things. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna let those dry. And then I'm going to put one in here that is sideways facing. So see how these on my actual stem or stalk, they're actually facing sideways as you go up. We're not actually seeing the forward face of them, but I've decided to make these flat and open. But I'm going to put one in here that is sideways facing. So we're just going to paint the petals kind of moving this way. So it's like half of a flower, but they all kind of come together in this nexus here, this center point, at a slightly different angle than you would see. Like if I just painted half this flower, they're all kind of flat and pushed out, where these are all coming to a point kind of right here. We don't leave that space in between. And they're all kind of moving this way towards the center. We're going to do some layering. All right, so we're going to leave that like that. These other ones are pretty dry, so I'm going to use another light layer, and I'm just going to add a second layer, same type of petal between these, and you're going to see where they overlap, they create a darker color. And it just gives us this depth and dimension that you can't get with other types of paint that would just cover that up. This transparent nature of this just gives us a whole other kind of look and feel. A nice full flower. And you don't even have to do it on every one. You could just do like every other, or you know, you can leave gaps between. These are a little bit sparse. They're not super layered and fluffy flowers. And then let's see here. Is that dry? Yeah, that's dry. I'm gonna do the same thing here, just do a lighter layer. So I'm making it lighter with water and just filling in some of the gaps in between. And it'll give that impression of variations in color and value. All right, so let's add a stem, and then we'll do the centers of these. So my stem is going to kind of come up from the bottom here. It's going to run through this one. Going to run through here. It's going to keep going this way. We're going to have an offshoot over here, running up through my whole page. And then there's a lot of little green, I don't know if they used to be flowers or they're going to be in the future flowers, but little like rough buds. So they're somewhat spiky and stiff. These little green buds. They're not like soft like a rose bud would like kind of all come to a point. And some of them are even pretty far out from the main stem. Like they're not, like this one is like really long, and these are like really short. But they don't really have too many leaves. Right at the very base are these long leaves, so I'm just gonna leave them off. We're gonna be like halfway up a stem here, so I'm gonna put on some closer little knobbies. And just some darker colors. So I just picked up a little bit more sap green and just dropping it in a few areas just to give some variety and dimension to these. There we go. All right, almost done. Again, really simple, but really impactful. These are really beautiful color, pretty flowers, especially with the layering. I just love these. So let's do the center. And the center, there's just some little stamen in there. So I'm not gonna get crazy. I just wanna put a few little, slightly more on the bluer side, the ultramarine. And I'm just gonna take the tip of my brush and do like a few kind of, some will be dots and some will be like short little spikes, because we'll be seeing like the sides of some of them. And then I am going to drop a little bit of water in there because in the center you see it's kind of like a lighter color, but it is still purple, and I've left this white. So I'm gonna see what this does. So I'm gonna rinse off my brush, and I'm just gonna drop in like a drop of water to like soften things. I don't know if that was the right choice or if I should have done that before, but there we go. All right, and I think we're done. Of course, you could continue to add to this, but I think this is just lovely. You could certainly make this into a card or the front of something, or just a beautiful little print all its own. So thanks for painting these fabulous little chicory, whether you consider them roadside weeds or beautiful wildflowers. They're still quite fun to paint, and I love that they just kind of grace the sides of all of our roads around here, making my walks very pleasant as I kind of pass by them each morning. So thanks again. I'm Shayna Cersei. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Check the description for links to supplies and materials. Today we used our Cotman, Winsor & Newton Cotman series paints, my Princeton Select brush. So these are all student grade materials that I use with my in-person students in classes. But check the links in the description for that, as well as for Studio Crew classroom membership if you want to support me even further. But thanks for watching, and I can't wait to paint with you again.